right now we're in 4-low, so that engine's creating a lot of torque that wants to help us move along. So when we have that unweighted situation, if we don't have our foot on the brake and we don't even have our foot on the throttle either, that's where we saw it's just going to try and keep turning those free wheels to spin, all right? So when we have that situation and it starts to dig, we were digging out on this side, which you couldn't really see because that one's in the air, so it's not really digging much up. But when it tries to do that, it is going to damage the terrain, all right? So we want to be really careful of that because we've got an entire convoy. Just because Matt can get through this with just letting the Bronco try to send all that power, it might tear up the terrain so much, the fifth vehicle might not even be able to make it through at all with all of their differentials locked, all right? So you always want to be careful with maintaining the trail and going through in a way that is mechanically sympathetic and sympathetic to the trail as well, all right? So in this situation, we have wheel spin. When I talk about wheel spin, I like to say, if any of your senses encounter wheel spin, we stop. If you as a driver feel wheel spin, you stop. If you smell burning rubber, wheel spin, you stop. If you hear wheel spin, you stop. If your spotter sees wheel spin, you stop. When we stop, we decide what in this equation didn't add up. We already proactively talked about this, so the equation was we have an issue with traction. We're not really looking like we're exceeding our clearance, but we are unweighted on 2 of our tires. So traction is the problem. How can we help ourselves out of that? 2 things that we can talk about. We already talked about our locking differentials, but another one that we can display in this Bronco, since we're in the Badlands, this would be in a Badlands Raptor First Edition, Stroppe Edition, or Heritage Limited, is the stay bar disconnect. So this is also called a sway bar or an anti-roll bar. It's essentially a U-shaped piece of equipment that is going to connect the sides of the suspension along to the body of the vehicle that you're sitting in. So when you're taking that really fast on-ramp, your coffee doesn't spill. One side does the same thing as the other. They borrow from each side and the vehicle stays like that. When we disconnect that in the center, disconnect our sway bar or our stay bar, it allows them to articulate separately from each other a little bit more, all right? So with this, when we have to use a locking differential, we're not creating traction, but we are able to use the traction available to us. When we use a sway bar disconnect here, it can redistribute the weight of the vehicle a little bit and actually gain us traction. So there's a possibility if we touch this button that this wheel over by Trevor there could possibly come to the ground and now the treads have traction. We'll see if we can gain some traction here. So Matt, you're gonna press that first button closest to you. All right, now those treads are touching the ground. We just gained traction, all right?